It was early morning when the first signs of the mysterious grave were discovered. Nia, a young Maasai woman known for her curiosity, had been gathering herbs in the hills when her foot hit something hard beneath the soil. Brushing away the dirt, she uncovered a large flat stone, an unmarked grave in the heart of her people's sacred lands. Nia rushed back to the village, her heart racing. The elders listened carefully as she told them of her discovery, their faces, usually calm and wise, darkened with concern. An unmarked grave? In our sacred lands? Elder Kiona asked, his voice thick with suspicion. Something about the grave unsettled him. The others nodded in agreement, exchanging uneasy glances. The elders debated what to do. According to ancient lore, no one was allowed to disturb the sacred lands. "We do not know whose grave this is," said Elder Ayana, her voice trembling. "But if it lies unmarked, perhaps it was meant to stay hidden." Yet curiosity gnawed at Nia, and she couldn't shake the feeling that the grave held answers to questions the village had long forgotten. Elder Kione began to tell an ancient story, one whispered only in secret, a tale of an unseen spirit that roamed the sacred hills long ago. According to legend, a powerful healer had vanished, her grave never marked, and her spirit left to wander. Could this be her final resting place? The villagers gathered closer, their faces tense with fear and fascination. Determined to uncover the truth, Naya returned to the grave the next day. This time she noticed strange markings on the stone, symbols she had never seen before. They were faint, worn by time, but there was something undeniably powerful about them. As her fingers traced the symbols, a chill ran through her, as if the air itself had grown colder. That night, Nia was haunted by a strange dream. In it, she saw the unmarked grave again, but this time it was open. From within, a figure emerged, a woman cloaked in shadows, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. The woman whispered a warning, but the words were lost in the wind. Nia woke up in a cold sweat, her heart pounding. The next morning, as Nia prepared to return to the hills, a stranger arrived in the village. He was tall and lean, dressed in simple, weathered clothes, his skin as dark as the night. His eyes, however, were strange, an unsettling shade of pale blue, as if they had seen too many things. He asked only one question: who has disturbed the grave? The stranger claimed to be the last descendant of the ancient healer, the one whose grave remained unmarked. He spoke of a curse that bound his family to the hills, warning the village that opening the grave could unleash something far worse than they could imagine. Nia felt a growing dread in her chest, but the pull of the mystery was too strong to ignore. Despite the stranger's warnings, Nia couldn't stay away from the grave. That evening, she returned to the stone and, driven by an unknown force, began to chant words she didn't understand. The symbols on the stone glowed faintly, and the air around her hummed with energy. The earth beneath her feet trembled, and the once still grave seemed to come alive. Suddenly, the ground beneath the stone began to crack, and a low, rumbling sound echoed through the hills. Nia stepped back in fear as the grave opened, revealing only darkness within. Just as she was about to peer inside, a cold wind swept through the hills, and a voice, deep, ancient, and filled with sorrow, whispered her name. Nia's breath caught in her throat as the voice whispered her name again, this time louder, more insistent. The wind picked up, howling through the trees, and the ground seemed to pulse beneath her feet. Her instincts screamed for her to run, but something in the voice, so familiar yet so distant, held her there. She took a step closer to the gaping darkness, her heart hammering in her chest. Just as Nia gathered the courage to peer into the grave, a shadow began to rise from the darkness. It took form slowly, like mist solidifying into a shape. At first it was formless, but as it floated above the grave, it began to resemble a person, tall and thin, with hollow eyes that glowed faintly in the night. Nia gasped, stumbling backward as the figure seemed to watch her, silently waiting. From behind her, Nia heard footsteps approaching. The stranger with the pale blue eyes appeared at her side, his expression grim. "I told you not to disturb it," he whispered, his voice low and urgent. "You've awakened something that was meant to stay buried." He reached for Nia's arm, but before he could pull her away, the shadowy figure began to move, slowly drifting toward them. The figure stopped a few paces from them and for the first time spoke. Its voice was like the wind itself, soft and haunting. "Who disturbs my rest?" it asked, its tone neither angry nor calm. The stranger stiffened, his grip tightening on Nia's arm. "It's her," he said, his voice trembling slightly. She didn't know, but the spirit's gaze remained on Nia, unmoving and unblinking, as if waiting for her to speak. The spirit seemed to soften, its form shifting slightly, as if remembering something long forgotten. "I am the healer who was betrayed," it whispered. "The curse of my death bound my soul to this earth, but now you have awakened it. There is still a debt to be paid, and a secret that must be uncovered." Nia's heart raced. What debt? What secret? The spirit's words hung in the air, filling her with both fear and curiosity. The stranger sighed heavily, his shoulders sagging. "I knew this day would come," he murmured. "I am the last of those who carry the weight of the healer's betrayal. My ancestors wronged her, and now I must make it right." Nia stared at him in shock. "What do you mean?" she asked. "What did they do?" But before he could answer, the ground trembled again, and the spirit's form began to fade. Before disappearing completely, the spirit spoke once more. "The truth lies buried deeper than you know," it said, its voice barely a whisper. "Seek the one who remembers. Only they can set me free." And with that, the spirit vanished into the night, leaving Nia and the stranger standing alone by the grave, the weight of its words heavy in the air. Nia and the stranger now revealed as Liko stood in stunned silence, grappling with the spirit's haunting message. "We must find the one who remembers," Liko finally said, urgency in his voice. "Legends speak of an old woman who lives at the edge of the village, a keeper of our people's stories. She may know the truth." Nia nodded, determination igniting within her. They had little time. The storm was brewing, and with it came a sense of foreboding. As they hurried toward the edge of the village, the atmosphere thickened with tension. The air grew heavy with the scent of rain, and lightning flickered in the distance. They finally reached a small hut, its walls adorned with intricate carvings that told tales of the past. Inside, an old woman sat on a woven mat. Her silver hair framed her wrinkled face, and her wise eyes sparkled with knowledge. "I've been waiting for you," she said softly, a knowing smile on her lips. The old woman motioned for them to sit. "You seek the truth about the unmarked grave and the spirit that haunts it," she began, her voice a soft melody. "Long ago, there was a healer who saved lives but was betrayed by those she trusted. Her spirit was condemned to wander until her story was told. You must uncover the betrayal to free her." Nia leaned in, her heart racing with each word. "What betrayal?" she pressed. "The betrayal stemmed from envy," the old woman continued. "A fellow healer coveted her gifts and conspired against her, seeking to claim her power. When the healer realized the treachery, she hid her true legacy within the grave, but her spirit cannot rest until justice is served." The weight of the revelation hung heavy in the air. Nia felt a rush of determination. "How do we make it right?" she asked. The old woman's gaze grew distant, as if peering into the past. "You must find the descendants of the betrayer," she said slowly. "Only by uncovering their story can you bring peace to the healer's spirit. But be cautious, the truth may not be what you expect." Nia and Liko exchanged glances, their mission becoming clearer, yet the stakes were higher than they had imagined. As they stepped back into the gathering storm, the air crackled with electricity. They had little time to waste. The clouds roared overhead, and the first drops of rain began to fall. "We need to find them before the storm unleashes its fury," Liko urged. Nia nodded, her heart pounding as they raced through the village, determination propelling them forward despite the brewing tempest. They arrived at the hut of the betrayer's descendants, two brothers known for their secrecy and rivalry. Nia knocked urgently, the sound echoing against the walls. When the door opened, the brothers stood before them, expressions a mix of confusion and annoyance. "What do you want?" one asked, crossing his arms. "We need to talk about your ancestor," Nia replied, determination igniting her voice. The brothers exchanged uneasy glances, but Nia pressed on. "We need to know what you've heard about your ancestor and the healer. It's important." Reluctantly, the older brother spoke. "Our family has always been shunned for what happened in the past. We know the story, but it's filled with shame." The younger brother's eyes darkened. "Shame that we've carried for generations. What do you want with it?" Nia spoke earnestly. "You must confront the past to move forward. The healer's spirit seeks justice." The brothers exchanged pained looks. Finally, the older one sighed. "The story goes deeper than betrayal. There was love involved, and perhaps that love led to the healer's downfall. Nia felt a surge of emotion. The truth was tangled in heartbreak and betrayal, a web that needed untangling. The younger brother finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Our ancestor loved the healer, but he was driven by jealousy, fearing her power. In his rage, he betrayed her, leading to her tragic fate. We never spoke of it, but the weight of his actions still haunts us. Nia's heart ached. She could feel the sorrow of generations pressing down upon them all. Then let's find a way to honor her memory, she urged. The brothers nodded slowly, the tension easing as they began to understand the weight of their legacy. We'll help you honor the healer, the older brother said, determination breaking through his earlier resistance. Together, we can find a way to free her spirit. Nia felt a rush of hope. They were one step closer, but the storm outside raged on, mirroring the chaos of the past that still needed to be resolved. With the brothers now on their side, they hurried back to the grave, rain pounding on their backs. Nia's heart raced with anticipation. They needed to uncover the truth and bring peace to the healer's spirit before the storm reached its peak. As they arrived, the grave looked more foreboding than ever, and a sense of urgency filled the air. As they gathered around the grave, the ground trembled once more, and the air crackled with energy. We must speak her name, Nia urged. Only then can we summon her spirit. They joined hands, and together they called out to the healer, their voices echoing against the storm. We seek your truth. We honor your memory. The winds howled, and for a moment silence fell, holding the world in suspense. As their voices resonated in the air, a soft light began to emanate from the grave, illuminating their faces with a warm glow. The ground shook violently, and suddenly the spirit of the healer rose before them, her form radiant and ethereal. You have summoned me, she spoke, her voice a gentle whisper carried by the wind. Why have you disturbed my rest? Nia stepped forward, her voice steady. We have come to honor your memory and to seek the truth about your betrayal. The healer's eyes softened as she listened. Long ago I was betrayed by someone I loved, consumed by jealousy. But the pain of that betrayal does not have to live on. My legacy can be one of healing and unity instead. Forgiveness is a powerful force, the healer continued, her voice gaining strength. It can break the chains of the past and free us from the burdens we carry. To honor me, you must not only seek the truth, but also learn to forgive those who have wronged you. Nia felt a wave of realization wash over her. This was the key to healing not just the spirit, but their own lives as well. In that moment, Nia, Liko, and the brothers knelt together, joining hands in a pact. We promise to honor your legacy by seeking forgiveness and unity within our community, they declared in unison. The healer smiled, her form glowing even brighter, radiating a warmth that enveloped them all. This is the path to redemption. Remember, it is never too late to heal the wounds of the past. With a final radiant smile, the healer's spirit began to dissolve into the night, her essence merging with the soft glow of the moonlight. Go forth with love and unity in your hearts, her voice echoed, fading into the wind. As she vanished, the storm finally broke, revealing a starry sky overhead. Nia, Liko, and the brothers rose, feeling a sense of peace settle over them. As they walked back to the village, Nia felt lighter, her heart full of hope. The truth they uncovered would change their lives forever. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, Liko said quietly, but it allows us to create a future free from its shadows. The brothers nodded, their expressions now peaceful, ready to embrace their shared history and build a better tomorrow together. The journey of Nia, Liko, and the brothers teaches us that the power of forgiveness can break the chains of the past. By confronting our histories and embracing unity, we pave the way for healing and growth. Let us remember that it is never too late to seek redemption and create a brighter future, guided by love and understanding. Hope you liked this story. Subscribe if you find the story interesting.